after the midterms, the Trump administration may well feel emboldened to strike again militarily, if necessary, against Iran.
Yes, I do. I think they will try to keep a lid on things by doing what we saw 2 weeks ago, tit for tat. So if tomorrow they send 6 missiles into Kuwait, and they may well do that, then they will probably hit a bridge or do something, but it will be disproportionate. But it will be a one-day off, and they will try to keep a lid on it, keep the strait open, keep gas prices, keep negotiating, and then once the midterms are over, for either way, if he loses or wins, then if he loses, then he's going to be, the whole Trump family will be subpoenaed, we'll have impeachment hearings for 2 years, and he will rule like Obama did. Obama, when he lost the Senate and the House, he said, I have, as you remember, a phone and a pen, and I'm going to rule by executive order. And that's what he'll do. And Obama, remember, he bombed the last day in office in Libya. And that 7-month circus really led to nothing other than death and destruction. We really never knew whom we were bombing. I think we do in this case. So I think I think there's a way to resolve the matter. The only problem that I have with the administration is twofold. They keep confusing military defeat with strategic victory.
And this distinction that Victor mentions is the key to understanding the entire argument. A military strike can destroy targets, weaken an enemy, and create the appearance of control. But that does not automatically mean the United States has achieved a lasting political result. Hanson is warning that Washington often celebrates the tactical moment too early, before asking the harder question, what comes next? If the enemy survives, adapts, and presents survival itself as victory, then the balance of perception changes. That is why air power alone can punish a regime, but it cannot always force a permanent strategic outcome. The danger is believing that because America can hit harder, faster, and more precisely, it can also shape the future of another country without deeper consequences.
And that's not always the same. They have done so much damage, it's a natural thing to say, well, what can they do? Well, they look at survival as victory against this huge superpower, and many in Europe do too, and they haven't explained the difference and why we don't have strategic victory yet, because it's a self-limiting process. If they wanted to have, they can instill a level of damage as they did with Milosevic and get some victory out of it without getting on the ground. The other thing that looms very large is people keep saying they have a whole agenda on the right and the left. Well, we have to make sure they don't give any money to any of the Arab terrorists. That's fine. We have to make sure that all their missiles are surrendered. That's fine. We have to make sure they have no drone factory. That's fine. But what you're talking about is regime change to ensure that. And we were collectively 30 years, 20 in Afghanistan, 10 in Iraq, 7,000 American dead, 53,000 wounded, $2 trillion, and we achieved regime change for a while. And we did micromanage the Afghan economy and military and society. And we did micromanage and affected all of those things we wanted, and they were not lasting. They had some effect, positive maybe in Iraq, but nothing at all. In fact, it was a complete humiliation in Afghanistan in 2022. So they don't want, we're not a colonial power, and Iran is not a protectorate. And when people keep talking about, well, we're going to do all these things to them, they're either going to have to put ground troops or they're going to have to take out the regime. And there's no public support for any of that. But you can, by air power, achieve the two primary objectives: that they don't have nuclear weapons, and that they have the Strait of Hormuz open. You can do that by inflicting enough damage on their fleet, on their missiles, and on their leadership, and on their grid, and everything. And I think they'll do that after the midterms.
Do you think then that the midterms were always the flaw in the project that was Operation Epic Fury? Because it seemed to me like Trump made a bet that perhaps the regime would collapse. He certainly talked about 4 to 6 weeks, I think he was saying, in the early days.
Yes.
Of Operation Epic Fury.
Well, I think if your point is that with his recitation that he took out Soleimani that nobody thought he would do, and it was a clean operation. And then he allowed them to have a performance art volley of a few missiles to save face. He took out Baghdadi in a day. He bombed ISIS into oblivion. He got rid of the Wagner group, killed 200 Russians. Second term, he jawboned Panama to getting the Chinese out of the exit. The Maduro thing went like clockwork. If you're suggesting all of that gave him the impression that this huge country in the Middle East could be handled the same way, I think I would tend to agree with you.
In this video, Victor Hanson argues that the real danger is not simply whether the United States can defeat Iran militarily, but whether it can turn that military pressure into a true strategic victory. He suggests that the Trump administration may try to keep the conflict limited before the midterms, responding forcefully but avoiding a larger escalation until the political moment changes. But Hanson's deeper warning is that destroying targets, damaging missiles, or hitting military infrastructure does not automatically solve the bigger problem. His main point is that America has already learned the hard way that regime change is not just a military decision. Afghanistan and Iraq showed how costly, exhausting, and ultimately unstable those projects can become. Hanson argues that if Washington wants to prevent nuclear weapons and protect the Strait of Hormuz, air power can still achieve important objectives. But if the goal becomes controlling Iran's government, economy, military, and society, then that would require something much larger, and something the American public does not support. Ultimately, Hanson's conclusion is a warning against overconfidence. The United States can win battles, destroy assets, and punish enemies. But unless leaders define a realistic end goal, military success can quickly become another strategic trap.